Greetings, it is I, Gazbot, and I'm here for Action Activate, the Power Rangers chat show and other whatnots. And of course, if I'm here, then with me as always is...
myself, the Big Dog, and of course our guest, Jason Chan. Jason, thank you for joining us today.
Yes.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Now, we're stoked we got it to work out. Presumably anybody watching this knows who you are and why we're having you on, but if you want to just introduce yourself a little bit in case somebody doesn't know.
I'm Jason Chan. I played Cam, one of the Green Power Rangers in my series, which was Power Rangers Ninja Storm way back when. And really happy to be part of that fraternity, I guess, of Power Rangers.
Awesome. So we, sorry, let me hide this. A lot of people jumping on chat saying hello. Everybody's very excited to see you. You're a popular Ranger and you haven't been around that much compared to some of the other Rangers. So I think people are extra excited to see you reaching out like this and doing a live thing. So if you guys have questions, yeah, you got fans from all over. Look at this.
Oh, wow. Basil, hi.
Basil. Yeah. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I'm not promising we'll ask every question, but we'll try to get to them as we talk to Jason and stuff. Big Dog, do you want to start us off with anything here?
Yeah, I know obviously the reason we got in contact with you was from Power Rangers, and for you, from what I've heard from some previous interviews, you've been able to enjoy your season with your son. How's that kind of been, looking at it, you know, a little bit further and from obviously a kind of a more general perspective like us?
It's great, you know. For a while after doing the show, I didn't watch it, you know, obviously a lot of the episodes over and over again. We watched it maybe a couple of times, enjoyed it, watched clips on YouTube, etc. But for my son to take to it without really knowing at first that it was his dad in it, like, was quite incredible, because I saw the magic of Power Rangers, you know, infusing into a little boy. And it was the same magic that I think I had when I first saw the movie, I guess, Power Rangers, way back, you know, when they did the film in Sydney. And it's that sort of magic that drew me to auditioning in the first place, because I remember when my agent first asked me, she said, well, it's kind of this kids show, you know, they battle these monsters. It's it's something that's been around for a while. Would you like to audition? And of course I just said, oh yeah, I know that show. That's amazing. That's Power Rangers. She said, yeah. You know it? Yeah, I do. And I tell the story often, you know, in interviews, but there was another show that was conflicting at the time that I was doing. It was a children's TV show that I just started out of acting school. And it came down to a really critical decision. Like, are you going to break this contract and go with Power Rangers or not? And it's going to be a critical thing for you to do. It's involving quite a few lawyers, including lawyers from Disney. And we're going to have this very critical conversation on the phone. You can't say anything except for yes and no, and when we tell you to. And
wow. I heard you talk about this, but I didn't realize it was so severe, I guess.
It was really severe. And I was quite nervous about it, because I said, well, why can't we work this out? And they did try to work it out. And it was actually an internal kind of struggle between Disney and Disney head office and Disney. I think it was out in Asia, the central office in Asia. And you know, I sat down with my agent before that, and she asked me really seriously, look, Jason, this is going to cost quite a bit for us. You know, it's going to involve our lawyers. It's going to be breaking a contract, etc. Are you sure you really want to do this? And I just looked down for a bit and then looked up at her. I go, this is a little embarrassing maybe, but I just want to tell you that this is every boy's dream. Like, I just want to play a superhero.
Yeah.
That's it. Is that embarrassing? Is that terrible? To her credit, you know, she just sat back and went, okay, we'll handle it. In other words, you want to do it.
Right.
Yeah. And
That's fantastic, though. You're right, though. That is every boy and every girl's dream, honestly, too. It's everybody wants to be. Who doesn't want to be a superhero?
True.
So I am curious that you were aware of Power Rangers. Had you watched it at all, like as a fan, or you just sort of knew it because it was such a big brand that everybody knew it?
I kind of knew it, and I'd watched the movie. I hadn't watched the series, and then so when she talked to me about the audition, my agent, I went out and got a few VHS tapes. It was VHS back then.
Right.
I had to borrow them from a video library. Remember those? And and check that out. And I was just sucked in. Like you watch it, it's just so much. It's fun. It's aspirational. It's inspiring. It's tongue in cheek.
Yeah,
it's all of that rolled into one, and that's what I loved about it. And I think Doug and Ann, who wrote our series, who were the original writers, right? I think they brought that tongue-in-cheek, winking at the audience kind of thing to Ninja Storm really, really well. Like their team of writers just did an amazing job, and it's everything that I had hoped for and more. Because I think when they moved out to New Zealand, they up the ante. They said this was our first one with Disney, so Disney put a lot into it. Yeah, and we were really impressed. Like when we saw back, the rushes and the first cuts and stuff. It was really fun.
That's awesome.
One thing I was wondering, you're one of the few characters in all of Power Rangers that kind of got to check every box. You got to be a mentor, you got to be a ranger, you got to be a comedic relief character. Out of all of kind of those roles that you were playing on the show, what was your favorite to film for the most part?
Cybercam.
Okay. That's what I figured, but I thought I'd ask.
It was so much fun, I think I started out really nervous about getting to Power Rangers. I came from a traditional acting school. It was a school called NIDA in Sydney. And, it was very theater-based and really serious. We were doing Shakespeare and everything. And then here I was getting into this role. It was my first sort of major acting role. And, all these other actors, yeah, that's a great clip. There we go.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to distract you. I just
no. This is great. It brings back great memories. But the other guys, Sally, Glenn, Impor, they were really young. I mean, I think the oldest there. Well, definitely the oldest there. I think I was 30 at the time, and I had to pass off as a teenager. And these other kids, I really were so good at acting. They just turn up, they read their lines on the day, and they just wing it. And there I was the night before, just kind of rehearsing everything and thinking, what are my actions? What are my objectives and everything? And trying to build a great character out of this. And these guys would just come on and wing it so easily. I would watch them effortlessly acting and thought, I've got to learn. These guys are flexible. They're nimble. They're fast on their feet. So I started kind of relaxing through the season. At first, I was really nervous and a bit stiff, and then as I did so, I think I started experimenting more and more. And Doug came up to me one day and he goes, "You're having fun, aren't you?" Yeah, yeah, I am. I am having fun. Like you said, Alex. I got to go on this massive journey, like the samurai journey. Like that's every actor's dream. It was kind of like a little movie, and then became the Power Ranger after being frustrated for a long time. So the journey of Cam was really kind of nice and epic and everything. And then Doug said, "I'm going to give you something else. How do you feel about, just doing something really crazy, just out of the box and completely the opposite to Cam?" That'd be really cool. What are you thinking? He's just going, whatever you want, like a surfer dude, like something completely way off. Like, yeah, let's do that. And then he just sent that back to the writers. They came back with that, all the lines, of course, and it was just so much fun. Especially it was straight after the Samurai Journey, which is a bit serious and epic and heroic, and then I got to do I got to be the Fly and then do that, and I thought that was so much fun.
No, agreed. That was fantastic, and without naming names, not every comic relief works as well on various seasons, and this was one that worked well. And it is especially hard to make it work well when you're playing two characters at once. But yeah, it nailed it.
Thank you. It was so much fun.
Let me grab a question from the chat here because it's blowing up. I'm way behind, so sorry about that, chat.
Yeah, I haven't looked at a lot just because that was such an engaging answer that
I know. Well,
there's a lot.
This is a stereotypical fan question, so I'm going to grab this one. This is from Disney in Uamon. If Power Rangers crossed over with Marvel, what superhero would you want your Green Ranger to team up with? So what Marvel superhero would you want to be your partner or team up with?
I have no idea. I've never really thought about that. Maybe Iron Man. I'm always really impressed by that.
Tech heroes.
Yeah, he's like Cam. Like they could hang out together and talk tech and make things together. You know, he's like I like the fact that Iron Man. It wasn't like a heroic power that was kind of handed to him. Like he just went and made it.
That's great. And then Cybercam could hang out with like the holographic versions of Tony Stark.
Yeah, they could just chat. Copy.
Alex, you got another one lined up here?
Yeah. I think I know the answer to this, but I want to ask, out of things outside of your Ninja Storm season, have you taken a look at anything that's involving either the Green Samurai Ranger or Cam, whether it be the comics, a video game, a fan film, anything like that you've kind of been aware of or seen?
No. Please introduce me. No, I guess for a long time when I moved away from it, it was just something, you know, I thought like most actors do, you do something and then it's kind of over and then you move on and you don't know it actually as intimately as the fans do because you're in a way, we're behind the camera, right? We're in front of the camera, but we're behind the scenes. We make it, but we don't actually, you know, we didn't even get to see it for a long time while it was airing in the States. And so when we finally got to see it, it was great. It was great. But then, you know, I think the fans were digging into it, imagining it. You know, it had obviously a history with it that was far beyond our own knowledge. Yeah. And so I was learning so much from interacting with fans. And of course, remember, when we finished, it was just the beginnings of the internet, really.
Right.
We were recently trying to look for photos for something that I'll announce a little bit later. But someone was saying, can you find some photos, some great photos that
some behind the scenes stuff like
behind the scenes or and I said, I don't have anything that's high quality. Remember, this was at the time I was shooting on film, any photos from behind the scenes, or my first digital camera, which was like 5 megapixels or less. It was just ridiculous. So I said, no, I don't think any of these will print these days. And I don't have a record, like I don't have storage of them digitally anymore. So it's
I was talking to somebody about this recently, that a lot of the more recent Ranger seasons, those actors have this sort of advantage now that they have cameras with, so they have tons and tons of behind the scenes footage and pictures and stuff that earlier seasons don't benefit. Not that they wouldn't have wanted to, but it just wasn't a possibility. Because I've seen, you know, act lately, Brendan Mejia from Dino Charge, which was a semi-recent season. He hasn't been on the show in years, and he's still putting up pictures no one's seen. You know what I mean? Because it's just, you know, he's just got so much. It's great. Yeah. Transitioning a little bit to another question we got from Slythe Renee. I apologize, I'm probably mispronouncing that. But was saying, do you have any behind the scenes stories? Talking about behind the scenes, any funny stories or touching anything? Give us the most touching thing. Move us to tears, would you, Jason? No, just anything you think might be worth telling, I guess.
Yeah, I do get asked that a lot. I you know, well, this is I guess. Sad now because Poor is not with us anymore. But, you know, like my first interaction with him was, I don't know if you remember, one of the first scenes was the Ninja Academy was being blown up and I was found under some rubble and he and Sally sort of pulled me up and we were all running across this kind of field of rocks. It was a quarry. And I slipped, and I would have gone face down or on my side or whatever. And it was just, he just grabbed me. He was just so fit, and it had lightning reflexes, just grabbed me, steadied me, and got me going again. And I'll always remember that because it was a really critical moment in filming. When they have those explosions behind us,
Yep.
They're real explosions. They're kind of petrol bombs. And we were kind of way, way, way back near the petrol bombs. Everyone else was about 150 meters in front of us, shooting from in front. Everyone then put in, those earplugs. We're like, wait a minute, why are you putting on earplugs? We're here with the explosions there. And it was the first time that we'd ever experienced that. And of course, it was quite critical. Like you don't do several takes of these. Right. You just go, we're going to get it in one, guys. And it was a whole line of them. And if you see that, when the explosions go up, they go pretty high.
Oh yeah.
It's hot. It's really loud. It's a real explosion. It's not CG. And because we were just running really rocky quarry, like slipping everywhere and trying to look like, we're going at speed, and then boom, from behind you. We had no idea. We're like, it was real. Our reaction was like, what the, what was that? That was the explosion. And then just heat hitting you from behind. So it was really, really hot. And and that kind of put me off guard. And I was about to slip off, and he just grabs me, puts me upright, and we get through it. And that to me is one of my clearest memories of Poor and what he kind of represented and what he did for all of us on set. Like, he was always looking out for everyone, and had your back all the time, even when you didn't know it.
In that case.
Literally in that case. And it was one other time he did it. We were, on a truck, on the back of a pickup truck, and riding through kind of it was jungle, getting to a waterfall and I remember Sally and Glenn were kind of standing up on the edge of the truck, just holding on to it. And then this tree branch was just about to swipe them. It was a big branch, because we were literally going through this kind of ravine, and he just went, he wasn't even looking. He'd just go arm out, grab them, pull them down, and they were safe. And I remember looking at that, and I in my past life, I was a doctor, and I went, that would have done serious injury. And he just saved those two. And, it wasn't even an issue. It was just there you go. I mean, you're done. But those are my memories of him. And even more kind of sad now that he's not with us.
Yeah. Well, you did touch upon something there. We can talk about Power Rangers all day, and there's a million questions, and maybe we're going to cycle back and through. We want to talk about other stuff, but you talked about in your past life, you were a doctor, which I know what you're talking about, but I feel like other people might not. And also maybe talk about how you got into acting from medical stuff. And I think that'd be interesting for people to hear.
Yeah. Well, I went into medicine thinking that I was going to really enjoy it. I didn't so much. And I think a lot of my medical school friends knew as I was studying, I was like, it's a hard thing to study when you don't enjoy it. Like, in Australia at the time, it was 6 years, and then another 3 years after that to get out and become a general practitioner. So it was a tough time. But during that time, I started doing part-time acting classes, and I absolutely loved it. Like, I was spending
What made you decide to start taking part-time acting classes? Because you went from zero
stuff, in school, in high school, and I loved it. So I thought, I'll just start some little beginner acting classes there on the side. And I did it at nighttime when I should have been studying. And then it grew from one night to 2 nights to 4 nights to pretty much every night. And, the fraternity of actors or the budding actors it was just so much fun. And so I spent a lot of time doing that and then cramming for exams when I had to. but I loved it so much that after I graduated, I thought maybe I'll do this kind of seriously, and went to audition for our kind of drama schools in Australia. And then when I got in, I thought, okay, well, let's try this. In any case, I enjoyed the whole process of drama school, and it was such a great time that, though many people from drama school, obviously at the time they graduate and they don't get into a lot of work. Most actors don't.
Right.
I was lucky enough to get Power Rangers, but having said that, drama school itself is kind of an epic thing to experience. It's really fun.
Yeah, nice. Well, that's a crazy transition too. Like you don't usually hear people like, well, I was working in retail, or I had a job as a salesman, but like, I was in medical school, and then, so clearly you were on the wrong path, and now you're on. Well, this leads into the next thing, that you, after Power Rangers, did a bunch of things, which we could touch on, but I'm kind of want to talk about where you're at now, and I know some people in the chat were talking about. I'm sorry, I'm having a brain fart. What's the movie you just did?
Jimami Tofu.
Jimami Tofu. Thank you. Yeah, Jimami Tofu. And so I know I'm kind of skipping a lot, but I think there's a lot of excitement about this right now, and I know Big Dog wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, to be honest, the more I looked into it a couple weeks back, and also seeing that one of your premieres was kind of in our backyard in San Francisco was
that's right.
Definitely intriguing me. So sorry to sidetrack on it, but would love to hear more about that and kind of that next evolution of what led you from in front of the camera to behind the camera, and just kind of, it seemed like you put on every hat and just every job that you could do on the film you were doing, it seemed.
Yeah, well, I loved it. On Power Rangers, I learned a lot of stuff, being behind the scenes. I think one of my acting teachers at NIDA, my drama school, always said to me, I think you should be a director. And I took that at the time as meaning that I couldn't act. And so I said, I'm going to prove to you that I can act, and I'm going to get great roles, and I'm going to make it as an actor. But even as I took on roles like Power Rangers, I spent a lot of time studying what the crew were doing, how they lit, how they shot. Like, I spoke to the cinematographer every day, so much so that there's kind of a running gag that he would always call to me to ask me what the aperture would be for the camera setting that day. And I said, oh, that would be T2.5, that would be T4 or whatever it is. And it was fun. Like, I learned a lot of technical stuff, and I loved it. I love the technical stuff behind filmmaking. And so I was always going to somehow be involved. It took me a long time because, coming back to Australia, and then I moved to Singapore, and I did a lot of other acting work. What drove me finally to get behind the camera was the fact that, a lot of the scripts that I was given weren't that great, weren't the sort of stories that I wanted to tell. And I realized that I wanted to shape the audience's minds. I wanted to tell my own stories, and I wanted to tell them my way. And then I had to do the hard stuff, which was learn how to write, and then learn how to put it all together, like all the technical stuff. And so we did something where we just started this corporate production company, me and my buddy, Christian Lee. He's also a fellow actor. And we spent a lot of coffees, bitching about, roles and stuff, and then saying, well, we got to stop having coffee, and we got to go out there and write something and produce something. And that's when we produced a little short web series called Perfect Girl. And actually, that's what put us on the map, because Perfect Girl was a little web series, sent it out to the world, and we ended up winning at in Los Angeles, I think at Atlanta and Toronto. We won 3 sort of North American festivals, and we thought, maybe we've got something here. Maybe we've got the ability to make stuff. And then Perfect Girl, a little while later, was picked up by Netflix. It became the first Singapore drama to be picked up by Netflix. And it's on Apple TV now, I think. But that drove us and gave us the opportunity to go and create a film. And then we went off and made a film in Okinawa, which was a crazy kind of idea too, that we could just pick up after doing a web series, which, by the way, was filmed with just 4 people, including myself and the cast, it was just us operating all the cameras ourselves, operating sound, doing all of that. And it was just kind of the beginning of the digital revolution, which was really empowering. But then we just said, well, we can do it all. So let's just go and make something in Japan. And we loved Japan. Of course, we were introduced to Japan through our stunt people. Koichi and his team were Japanese, and we just thought, let's do it. And we pitched to Japanese, the kind of film office in Okinawa, and they, after 3 years, by the way, a lot of persistence, 3 years, they said, yeah, okay, why don't you come over and have a look? Why don't you do a recce in Okinawa, and what we'll do is we'll decide, whether or not you can pitch. And we did a recce. We pitched them a story, and
let me interrupt. I'm sorry. What's a recce?
Yeah. A recce is like just they actually paid for us to go over there to see if we could, shoot something using their landscape.
Okay.
I thought that's great.
Even if you don't get the job, you get to film.
Yeah, no obligation, like a holiday for 5 days, and they literally did that. They had a van just for us. I thought it would be a busload of people, right? No, it's just a van for 3 of us. They shipped us around and said, hey, do you like this beach? Do you like this cliff? Do you like that? We're like, yeah, we love it. It's great. And then we just kept dreaming. And I think it's something that I've always had, which is just the ability to just keep dreaming. And my business partner and I, we play this yes and game. Like if I say something, let's shoot in Japan. He said, yeah, yes, and let's make our first feature film. And let's distribute it globally. And let's do something else. And so it's a bit crazy, and we get a lot of knockbacks, and we get a lot of people going, yeah, that's a crazy idea. How can you do that?
Even now that you've had such success and produced such work that you still push back?
Oh, yeah.
That's surprising.
All the time.
Because I would think even if they thought you were crazy in the beginning, now that you have a track record of success, that no.
World isn't that easy. I wish it were. There are people in my year who graduated who went from job to job. There are about 2 people maybe, and that's about it. Everyone else has to kind of scrape by, and even if you've done a good job, you just don't have opportunities open up all the time. And so we had to make our own, and it's been a great journey, though. I mean, I've learned a lot, and so yeah, we went off and made that film, and the wonderful thing was we came back, no one picked us up. No one just wanted to distribute us locally, which was really sad. We won the Audience Choice Award in Hawaii, and everyone just said, no, we don't like it.
So even though audiences liked it and critics liked it, the money people didn't. That wasn't good enough.
Money people were literally rude to us and said this has zero appeal to mass audiences. So we were pretty downtrodden, and then we came back and said, okay, well, we're going to distribute it ourselves. We're going to find someone. And we did find eventually someone, Singapore Film Society, who said, yeah, this deserves a little run in the theater. Let's see if we can get you a few spots. And the theater only gave us gold class at $40 a ticket. And we would have to pay half to guarantee them half. We're like, what? They're setting us up to fail. That's really, like, how do we sell $40 tickets when no one knows us? Right. And so we went out and said, all right, we're going to do a word of mouth free screening. It's crazy. But one other dream we had was we wanted to play at Botanic Gardens to 1,000 people, right? And we wanted to break the record at Botanic Gardens. So we set up a screening. And then it was a start of an incredible journey, because I put out a little picture, a little ad that we were going to screen Jimami Tofu, which no one knew about, right? Mm-hmm. In the Botanic Gardens, under the stars. Well, not that we really have stars in Singapore, but, imagination.
Planes flying overhead.
Yeah, with trees. And within 10 minutes, I had about 50 shares and on Facebook, and I thought, okay, this is going good. And by the time we came to the event, we had 1,000 people register for a free event. And, no one registers on Facebook for a free event. Like, you just come or you don't, right? Yeah. But we had 1,000 registers. And when we got to Botanic Gardens, the people in charge said, don't put your table there. You know, we had a table of merchandise and stuff. Just put it right in the middle of the field. We went, really? Yeah, you'll probably have about 500 people come, you know, so right in the middle of the field will be plenty. I was like, but 1,000 people registered. They went, really? Well, you can put it there anyway. No. We'll put it right by the lake. And an hour before we were about to start, we had 2,000 people. So it was like we broke the record.
Or
sorry,
did you have to turn people away? Was there too many?
No. It was well, it was too many people for the size of the screen that we had, because we were expecting 500, and the speaker system was for 500.
Right.
So they had to kind of think on their feet and create an array of speakers and add more, and then there were people sitting so far back that it looked like an iPad. Like they had this massive inflatable screen, but it looked like this tiny thing. But it was a magical night for us, and yeah, I'll always remember it. It was beautiful because you just saw the sea of people kind of laughing and crying and being moved by a film that you had done. And I think after doing that, I'll never be just an actor again. I think I'll always want to create the experience. And then we went into theaters in gold class, and we sold out every seat for 2 months. And that was when the theater turned around and said, okay, now you can have the normal halls. And then we sold out pretty much for 2 years. And we only stopped because of the pandemic. So we became the longest running film in Singapore in theaters.
That's amazing. And it's a great story. Well, you're a great storyteller. I mean, obviously you're a director and all this, but like you're telling me, and I feel like, yeah, I could see it, you know, like you're bringing us in there. So kudos to just your verbal storytelling on top of everything else. But it's a great story, but it also annoys me on your behalf and on behalf of a lot of creatives, because it is this thing of like, we created something great. Everyone said they likes it. The critics give it awards. Let's put it in the theater. No, okay, we're going to do this guerrilla grassroots DIY thing and build it up and get it going. And then everybody makes money. Now they like you, even though you had to convince them, dragging and screaming. And yeah. Yeah.
And, you know, doors still don't open. Even after you have that, they still think, oh, well, yeah, you kind of paid for that, or you didn't quite do that yourself, or you. So
there's some excuse being thrown your way.
Yeah. And people don't like that when you've gone outside of the system and done it and succeeded. And so we, you know, even when Perfect Girl, which we made for $1,000, and you know, we talked about it. We said we had literally no money, and we chose to turn down kind of a corporate TV gig to go and do Perfect Girl for $1,000, and that was $1,000 of our money. Half of it went to the actress, and the other half we just skimped on little on costume and makeup. And then to have won some web series and then to get picked up by Netflix was really big news. So it hit the papers, and you know, it's like $1,000 series gets picked up by Netflix. You know, makes history. Blah blah blah, and then people came out on Reddit and were kind of saying he lied. He didn't make that for $1,000. That would have been $200,000 that he pulled in favors, in debt, in blah, blah, blah. And I just went, these guys just don't want to do anything. They want to sit on their asses and not ever get off their ass and do something. Right. And I said, well, we give workshops. We can tell you exactly how we did it. We have photos to prove it. We had nothing. And it's beautiful because it shows you that you can stop using that excuse of you need $1 million to write a great story. Because it is just pencil and paper, you know, or pen and paper. And it's just all about the story. That's what captures people's hearts, right? Right, absolutely.
I think kind of one thing that I'm getting from kind of the beginning of your story of how you got into acting and where you are now, the thing that really resonates with me is that the reason you got into acting was because you found a lack of passion in something else. And part of the reason that you're so successful is because of that passion. I think that's just a great story for everybody aspiring to do something, not exactly like you, obviously, but just following their passion or pursuing a project that they've had in the back of their mind or whatever, to just see someone like yourself say, here's how I did it. People will naysay, and here's kind of the journey. And it may take 3 years because people keep telling you no, but year 4 when you have the yes, and then, you know, the story continues.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying that. Well, that's a really good point, actually. It's about passion, which is probably, we could segue later into Cinewave, but yeah, you're right. I think I get that a lot, like growing up and getting into acting. Believe it or not, when I got into acting during medical school, and then when I left medical school, I had to leave, kind of the career path of specializing, because that's the normal one. You just become a registrar, right, and then you specialize in something. And then to leave in Australia to go and to do general practice, kind of be a family practice doctor, like it became a specialty at that time too. Like, so you had to do 3 years instead of 6, which is fine, but 3 extra years of study and work to leave the medical profession in a way, right? To be able to go out and have your own private practice. And it was really difficult to get into this program because everyone wanted to do that. They felt disillusioned with the hospital system. It was just too hard. You gave up too much of your life. And so it was really competitive, and you had to do this interview process to get in. And in my interview, most people were doing these interviews and preparing really well for them, telling lies, literally, that they wanted to go out to the country to build up a country practice to help people in the rural communities. And I went, I'm not sure I want to lie like that. Do you really? They sort of identified whatever need that they wanted to hear and then just decided to build that into their interview. And they went on these interviews for 40 minutes, an hour. My interview lasted 20 minutes. And it was really simple. They said, why do you want to be a general practitioner? I said, I'm a bit disillusioned with the hospital system. I'm not sure if I want to be a doctor forever. I really want to be an actor as well. And I'd love to do that part-time and be a doctor if I could. Okay. All right. Interview's over. Thank you. and I came out and I went, oh man, I've just screwed myself. That was the worst interview I've ever done. I was the only one, or one of the only ones in my year that got in that year. And the remarkable thing was when I got in and I started getting supervisors, who would sit in with you in practice, all they wanted to talk about was acting. They said, so Jason, you're the one that's studying acting. Yes. Oh, well, let's talk about that because, back when I was, studying, I wanted to be a writer and I wanted to be this and I want to be that. Almost all my supervisors spent the entire time talking about their passions, not about medicine. Right. And they told me, or I kind of guessed later, that the reason why my interview was so short was they actually earmarked me straight away. They said, those are the sort of people that should be family practitioners. The people that get out there, that they follow their passions, that have a life, that are involved with the community, that do things outside of, sitting in a hospital for so long every day. And I'm so glad you mentioned that. And by the way, both of you are great interviewers. I mean, I'm really enjoying it, because, well, you're riffing off stuff and you're able to summarize it really well and bring it to, great points out of the crap that I say. But I think the passion, what I love about this sort of stuff and interacting with fans, it's about passion, and it's about finding what you really want to do and telling yourself that no one else is going to help you get there. That but when you develop that passion, when you find it and you fuel it, you don't need anyone else. It'll just happen.
There's that saying, I'm famous for butchering famous sayings, but something along the lines of better to fail doing something you love than succeed doing something you hate, essentially. So yes. if you're following your passion, even if you're failing, you could still be happy.
That's a great statement. Yeah. And, something that we discovered when we were doing corporate work was, so we started out with a corporate video production company. And we went, we hate this. We hate clients. We hate dealing with, client feedback and all that kind of stuff. How do we decide when to do something and when not to do something? And we came up with this little line. It's like, would you pay to do it? Usually it's, would you do it for free? But we took it a little bit further and said, if something ever comes up and you think you should do something, you think you should do it, just ask yourselves, would you pay to do it? And if you would pay to do it, and you do pay to do it, then that's your passion. It's really simple.
Great. Yeah, that's a great.
Yeah, and we did that. We turned down a very high-paying job directing a tele movie, and it was a big enough opportunity at the time, but we wouldn't pay to do that. We would pay to do Perfect Girl, and that's what we did. We went around and we said, well, I pay. Let us pay to do it. We would pay to do Jimami Tofu, and we did that. Yeah. So when everyone knocked us back, we just said, okay, well, by the way, we pitched and they rejected us. And then we said, we're going to do it anyway. So we're going to come over there and we're going to film something. And we took our life savings and flew in a few actors with 2 crew, and we just shot something. We shot a trailer, and we loved it. And we said, look, we're going to put this together. And when we put it together, we fell in love with it. And we said, we're going to pay to do this, whether they fund us or not, because we can. We just did it with 2 people, like 2 crew members. And we did Perfect Girl on $1,000. Maybe this is going to be like $10,000. You know, we'll find the money. That'll be easy. We'll do it. And it was that kind of persistence that eventually, got us through. We sent the trailer to them, and then they completely turned around. Like all the people on the panel that had rejected us, our who was it? Our organizer, she said that they couldn't stop watching your trailer. They just kept saying, play it again, play it again, play it again. And then they said, yeah, get them to apply once more.
Yeah, so you had to prove you could do the thing before they let you do the thing, essentially.
You always do, and I think now it's become part of our DNA. Like, we just realize now we don't even question it. We said, no, we've got to go out there and prove it. No one's going to give us free stuff.
Right.
We have to go and prove it, and then they'll give you free stuff. Maybe.
We're going to get to Cinewave in a second, but I want to touch on, because of all the passion and success you've had, and you had said something along the lines of you don't think you'd ever go back to just acting again. Which is understandable, but talking about passion and friendship and stuff like that, 2 questions I want to ask about that. The first, and this came up twice, that you have friends at Toku Asia that are working on a similar series, Sacred Guardian Singa. So if given the chance, would you be interested in appearing on that as an actor?
Yeah, I know them well, and they've already asked me, and absolutely open to that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, good. As I put it up and I saw your smile, I was like, "Oh no, did I just box him in? Is this an awkward thing?"
No. We know them well, but big shout out to them.
Well, that's awesome. And then the other, of course, being Power Rangers, there's been 1,000 people basically saying, "Hey, would you go back? Would you, if they asked you back to Power Rangers, would you do it?"
You know, absolutely. And because I have so much loyalty to Power Rangers now, like it's just part of us. And we were just in a chat group with our team recently, and I miss them so much. It's, I think Glenn once said, it's like we're all like long lost brothers and sisters. Because it was a very interesting time, you know, everyone flew over, and I think most of them were pretty young. I can't remember all their ages, but it was between 17 and 21, you know. So I was like, 30 at the time, but everyone was away from home. Even Sally, who was from New Zealand, she was from Wellington, I think, and flew up to Auckland. So everyone was staying away from home for the first time probably in their lives. And it was kind of just this bonding of like kids, like you know, we were just young adults. We were playing, you know, we get to be in this playground. I remember we went to the movies one night, and I can't even remember what movie it was. But I was watching us going, oh, wouldn't it be great to be a hero? And wouldn't it be great to be kicking ass on screen? And then it occurred to me, wait a minute, sitting next to Sally and Glenn, do this. We're doing this every day. Like tomorrow we're going on set and we're going to be kicking some monster's ass. And that's cool. Like, it's so cool that you're actually on screen, you know, and doing something. But Power Rangers, it was so much, and it was beyond just the show. Like the team, our family there, not just the cast, but the crew, was just so kind of warm and I don't know. It was just I can just say that when we returned for Dino Thunder Team Up, it was like coming home, you know.
Right.
And I think we all felt that. And well, maybe I can announce this now, but we all got together recently on Messenger, and we haven't talked for a long time since Poor passed away. But we all decided to appear at Power Morphicon online.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, and so it'll be the first time that all of us are together, including the Katrinas. And it'll be online, obviously, because you know, we can't fly around. And I think the difficulty with Ninja Storm, why we've never really appeared in many things, is because we're all scattered, right? And we were about to do one, I think about a year before Paul passed away. And I just regret it so much because, you know, it may have changed things a lot. I don't know, but we just couldn't bring ourselves to get together then. And now, you know, with the pandemic and everything, I don't know when that'll happen. But I'm just really happy and excited to be able to get everyone together just, you know, for this online session anyway, that's happening June 19th, I believe. So official powermorphicon.com is where you can get all the details and stuff. And yeah, there's a lot of excitement with the little group chat that we're having. And we're even going to organize a group poster. Some of the proceeds are going to go to Poor's daughter. But it's going to be a group poster signed by us all. And if you want to imagine how that's going to happen, we're trying to organize for it to be literally signed by us all. So it's got to fly from Brazil to Australia to New Zealand to Singapore to Vancouver and then back to LA.
One of a kind collectible there.
It's going to be one of a kind. It's going to be certified and everything. I think it's all on their website anyway.
Yeah, Power Morphicon, Scott Zillner's thing. It's here in California. I think anybody that follows us knows about it. And actually, I'll steal a little bit of your thunder. We'll announce that we're going to be hosting 2 panels at Power Morphicon. Not that one, but we just found out we're going to be doing some hosting of that. So we won't get to see you, but we'll be working on the same thing together.
Oh, great.
So we'll definitely give everybody all the details on all of our social medias for you and the whole thing. So all that being said, and again, it's so tough because everybody just wants to talk about Power Rangers, which I understand. But when we veer from Power Rangers, we get some really interesting stories. But I absolutely, going back to talking about passion, you have this new thing, which actually you mentioned as before we started, but I noticed in your email tagline, because I had known about Bananamana. Am I saying that right? Bananamana Films?
Yep.
Bananamana Films. I'd known about that, and I didn't know about Cinewave. And then I saw this little like tagline on your email, and I'm like, "What is that?" And so I made a note, like, "Ask him about that." And you're like, "I want to talk about this." I'm like, "All right, so here we go. This is the new passion. Tell us all about it."
And so you remember what I was talking about with distribution, right? We got into the cinemas, and you know, as filmmakers, you mix the sound really, really carefully, and you take great care to create an amazing experience audio-wise. And then you get into the cinemas, and we were bugged out. You know, wherever we went, we always had to check cinema quality for the audio and the visuals. Visuals are generally great, but the audio sometimes lacked because some of the surround speakers weren't on, or they were buzzing and they were broken. And we'd have to go up to cinema management and say, "Hey, that's buzzing. It's buzzing all the way through the scene," and so they had to change them. We had to do that several times. And then, of course, when we were at Botanic Gardens with 2,000 people were either sitting too far to the right or the left and getting blasted by the right speaker. They weren't getting a great mix of audio, right? And then we thought, this is terrible. Like you know, as filmmakers, you don't really have a platform where you can deliver the perfect experience that you had imagined for the audience. And so we developed a new technology called Cinewave, which is the ability to watch. You can play that video. It's the ability to watch the visuals of a movie on a big screen while listening to the audio on your smartphone. So it's really simple concept, right? The audio would be just plugged in, and you can see here, this is the float at Marina Bay on Singapore. It's 30,000 seats. And we want to activate that one day into the largest cinema in the world, because now you can deliver audio to 30,000 people without them having a bad experience, right? Because if you tried to use speakers, it would just not work. You get delay, you get echo. It'll be out of sync. In fact, even at Botanic Gardens, by the time you're at the end of the 2,000 people, the audio is slightly out of sync with the visuals. You'll notice when you see people playing basketball, the ball bouncing, doesn't sync with what you see. And so we developed the system. It took us a couple of years. It's patent pending, so we're quite excited about that. Like our first report came back and they said no one's ever been able to achieve this before, to synchronize a phone to the visuals on Cinewave. Was innovated by your team. Yes, Chelsea.
So apparently people have heard about it.
Oh, thank you. Well, we haven't officially launched yet, but we've been talking to potential partners in the US in the last couple of days. So that's really exciting. It may be coming to the US first because you guys are opening up now, and coming to sort of movie screenings over there. But yeah, last few days, it's US, Kosovo, Ibiza, UK, and Ireland we've been talking to, and everyone's really excited because we don't have to use these sort of headphones anymore, FM frequency headphones. And there's been a lot of excitement about drive-ins, but now
I was just going to mention that. I went to a drive-in during COVID and it was terrible. I would have loved this. Yeah,
because FM transmitters, they have to compress the sound. Bye to this. Yeah, this is the audio system that we had for Botanic Gardens, and this is one of the stages we're going to set up. And just with a backpack, with a projector and a laptop, we turn it into a 200-seater cinema.
That's awesome.
So people want to use it as, and if anyone's interested, hit me up and we can get you on a trial just to pilot it anywhere. If you've got a wall somewhere, you can convert it into a cinema, and you can scale and not bother the neighbors. You know what I mean? You can have movie screenings at night. You can have multiple movies at the same time. We have multiple soundtracks even, so that you can do it in different languages and director's commentary and all that kind of stuff. So that's got us very excited, and that's what we're working on right now, primarily to solve our distribution problem with our films.
Right. Because you can put them anywhere and they'll have the quality you want them to have.
That's right. And it's also a way to monetize. So when you've got a cinema out there, let's say you put a screen up in a park, you can monetize through the audio ticket. Everyone just buys an audio ticket in their phone. Phones, and you don't have to cordon it off. You don't have to take tickets. You just have to make sure people are not blasting it out on Bluetooth speakers.
Exactly.
But as we were talking to our potential partners, they're saying, "Wow, we do events in Mexico and Chile and Buenos Aires. We do events here, and the biggest problem we have with outdoor cinema is audio. Because it's this massive community impact with the audio blasting out, or audio coming back in, and the audience members just going, "Oh, would you turn that off?" Or turn off that freeway. So we kind of solve all that, and it's quite magical. I mean, I'd love for people to try it soon, but anyone's interested can go to the Cinewave website and just hit me up. But thanks for including that.
No, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure there are people that are interested in it, and like you said, it's part of your passion. It's what you're working on right now. It's interesting too. We just not about this particular invention, but the reason this invention is important. When people talk about sound, just from my own point of view, I'm a visual artist. I'm often working at my desk, and I have YouTube videos and things playing at the same time. And if it's an interview or a show or whatever, and it's totally garbage resolution, I can still kind of get through and watch it. If the sound is bad, I can't watch it. It's so terrible. And I think people really like, well, what was the movie that came out? Tenet. The movie Tenet, Chris Nolan.
Yes.
Everybody's like, the sound was terrible. I don't even know if the movie was good because everyone hated the sound. And so it's funny. It's so important, but people often overlook it.
That's a great point. And after 2 years of developing syncing technology, because that was the hardest part, getting people to sync and to be in lip sync is really tough. Anyone who does editing will know that if it's slightly out, you've got to go and sit there and tweak. So doing that on the fly with everyone's phones, your phones don't keep time and they drift. So everyone's phones will play a video at a slightly different rate. And every laptop will play a video at a slightly different rate. And to get them all to sync together and keep in sync for 2 hours is really, really challenging. And it took us a long time to do that. But after all of that work, when we do tests with audiences, do you know what they love the most? They come out and say, oh, I love that. I love that experience. The audio was so clear and it was so beautiful and I felt like I was immersed. You know what I love the most? That I could control the volume. But it goes to your point is that they love to have a personalized immersive experience, you know, even though still a shared experience, you're sitting with your friends and family and everything, but they love the fact that they could, you know, someone will say, well, I like it really loud and he likes it really soft. And, you know, like they just can't, you know, you're often sitting in the theater just going, oh, why is it so damn loud? But we understood then when we did talk to the theaters, they go, no, it's one setting across the board. Right. You don't get to pick your settings. What? We can't pick our settings for the volume, but this is a bigger theater and I don't hear the surround. One setting. That's so we got really frustrated with that. And we went, you know, people like personalized and people like immersive and people like super high quality. And if you guys are ever interested, I'd love to give you a demo sometime because we also have something called a binaural audio on it, where we take a 5.1 audio mix and we can mix it down to two headphones and you know, or two speakers, and it's really like you have a three-dimensional sound space. It's amazing. Cool. So what we're able to deliver with Cinewave is a 5.1 surround mix, and when you're watching on the screen, you could swear that's coming from a central speaker. You could swear it's coming from speakers behind you.
Right.
And that's why when we don't tell people, they come out and they're a bit puzzled. They went, it's really weird, but I really felt like I was in that room and that the actors were right next to me or in front of me, because it's very different from stereo. Stereo always sounds very inside your head. It's just left and right. But binaural takes into account the spatial element. And it's like binocular vision, you know, suddenly you know distance and everything, but binaural suddenly gets really interesting because you can give them spatial reference for where those people are. And you can actually change. You can increase the size of the hall or make it small and intimate. It's really fun. Anyway.
One question I have for the technology side, if you know, when you did some of the research with your team on that, did you look at gaming audio? Just because I know when I used to play video games a bit more with my friends online, they'd always be like, oh, never play it through your TV, play it through your speakers. So if somebody's running up behind you, you can hear them and kind of get the distance there. Was that something you guys leveraged to kind of get things rolling?
Yeah, it's a great thought. We actually, it was only recently, because at first we just wanted to solve the problem of sync, right? But it was only recently that we started, looking at spatial audio and in real time. Like someone asked us, we're hopefully working with Vivid Sydney. It was a big festival with lights and everything. And we started talking to them about it. And they sort of mentioned, we'd love to have this kind of spatial audio thing where you can walk around and you can walk towards audio sources and away from them. And it would work in real time, like the way it works in a game. And we're like, yeah, I'm not sure anyone's done that. Like that's quite complex. It's GPS. It's all
7 levels above where you're trying
yeah.
We're thinking right now.
Well, you're walking so that they could run.
Exactly.
Yeah. No. You're right, and it got us thinking. That's really interesting. And you know, one of the things that we want to do is we're adding a live audio component to our system as well, because at the moment we're only doing pre-recorded audio, you know, from films. But we're adding a live component so that the host can speak to the audience, you know, live, and then switch off and go into the film again. But one of the reasons why it's difficult with Zoom and all these kind of streaming audios is all the audio channels sort of are generally mono, and they come in and feed through the mono channel. That's why it's hard for people to talk over each other. So we're going to develop something where we have spatial audio for live, which will be challenging, but it's kind of like how games work, because in games, multiple people can talk over each other all the time and still be heard. Like someone can whisper behind you, I'm about to kill you. But you can still hear yourself. You can hear other people in front of you. It's because there's so much more space when you use spatial audio than a mono channel. So that's really interesting. Yeah, I think we can take a lot of inspiration from the gaming industry. How they deal with audio.
One thing when you were kind of describing the initial technology of just kind of the theater experience, one thing that really like I'm looking forward to kind of, let's say it's step 5 before step 2 now, is there's so many great monumental scenes in films that are all just, you could hear a pin drop, or they're just so epic in noise that you just want to fully enjoy that experience. And this, I can't wait to kind of experience that, of not having to deal with, you know, distracted of somebody and kind of pulling me back like, oh, I'm not in the movie anymore, or popcorn or anything. Just really, even if it's 10 seconds, just going from there.
Absolutely. I think one of the things that we noticed, and the audiences fed back to us when we did our test, was that, I could hear everything. I could hear a little bird tweet. I could hear something drop, a little rustle of the paper, because, sound is really simple. It's not rocket science. The closer you get it to your ears and the closer you get to the microphone, the better the audio is, right? There's a reason why we put microphones right here.
What do you mean?
Yeah, exactly, right? And we can't get away from that. Sound just drops off and it dissipates. And so we've got to get the speakers as close to your ears as possible. And so in cinema systems, when you don't have headphones, it's really, really difficult to improve the sound, because it's got to travel through all that air to get to you. And no matter how many speakers they put in, it'll never be the same. Like, it'll never be this. And that's why so many people are telling us that was better than the cinema. And that surprised us, because we didn't expect that. But they said, no, that was a better experience than the cinema. The audio was so crystal clear. And then we thought about it and went, of course it is, because it's right in your ears. And then when they watched Perfect Girl, some of them had seen it on Netflix, and they just said, that was better than when I watched it on Netflix at home. I said, of course it is, because at home, your speaker system is just a TV bar, or whatever, or off your TV or whatever. But now we're giving you the exact mix intended by the filmmaker for your headphones, and right here, right?
Yeah.
It's whichever you prefer. Like everybody, some people prefer over, some people prefer in, different sizes. So having it be BYOB just makes it so easy of whatever you like, just have a phone. That's all you need. Just the phone, everything else, do what you want.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
That is awesome. And like I said, a lot of people in the chat were excited about it too. It's been a little over an hour, so I don't want to keep you all night.
And we haven't really talked about Power Rangers. I'm so sorry. Like, we talked
a lot.
Don't worry.
Here's my thought. We're gonna start wrapping it up. We'll pull one more question from the chat, which I guarantee will be about Power Rangers. Big Dog will give you one more question, and then I'll ask my final question. So, Big Dog, why don't you ask a question while I hit chat? And if you're in chat and you've already asked a question, throw it up again, because it's scrolled up. So throw some in there, and I'll pick one from chat after Big Dog asks his.
So one thing we ask a lot of people, especially now since we're not currently having Power Rangers conventions, is as those open up to be in person, A, would you be open to doing them? And B, what's kind of the thing you're most looking forward to of seeing actors from other seasons, hanging out with old actors again, meeting fans, seeing merch? What kind of are you looking most forward to if you are open to going to conventions in the future?
Well, I haven't been to any, so Power Morphicon will be the first one. And I think for Sally as well. So we're excited to just experience what it's like. Like,
have you been to any as a fan? Like, have you been to a convention at all? Oh, okay.
So I've never experienced what it's like. I don't really know what it all involves. But from what I hear from my colleagues, it's pretty exciting, and it's sometimes quite emotional. So I think Adam and Jorge were telling me in the chat the other night that oftentimes they're hearing emotional stories from fans, and they get emotional, and they're just giving away merchandise. They're like, please, just take this. Thank you for touching us. And, I've heard the same, like when fans come up to us and, there doesn't, a week doesn't go by that I don't get some sort of mention somewhere in my dealings outside here that, I watched you growing up. You made my childhood so fun. And that's incredible. Like, it's amazing to have touched people in their childhoods and that it's such a lasting memory. So I'm so happy to have been part of their lives. And I'm really excited, most of all, to be meeting them. I think I'd love to meet them in person. I think that's going to be the best experience. So hanging out with my former castmates who are like my family that I miss, and then meeting a new family. Some of them, there were people who came to some of my screenings at Jimami Tofu in California, and they came up and said, "Hey, I'm a Power Ranger fan. Actually, I'm a fan of Cam, and but I came to this movie and I loved it. It was so different from. Obviously, it's not it's not Power Rangers, a very different kind of movie." But they loved it. They didn't expect to love it. But then it was also great to talk about, how they got involved watching Rangers and how I played a little part in their life as a child. And it's really heartwarming. Like, I can't say enough about what the fans mean to us. It's really cool. I'm excited to be involved. Let's hope that everyone goes out and gets vaccinated and that we can get rid of this virus and we can get back to travel again and do the things that we love. Now more than ever, I think we're realizing how precious that can be, like just meeting people, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, talking about the fans, we'll go to a fan question. There's a lot of good ones, but this is one that I'm just picking one. I'm not saying this is the best one. This is one that's in front of me, and I kind of want to know the answers. That's why I'm picking it. So, and again, I apologize. I don't know how to pronounce this. I'm going to say Etanine Bland. Says, "Hey, Jason, have you ever taken any martial arts training before you got the role of Cam?"
Yeah, I did. And I did this kind of Chinese martial arts called Yin Tao Ngok Fei Kun. I don't even know how to, like, it's a Cantonese, I think, phrase or name, and it was sort of developed around or similar to Wing Chun, which most people will know. It's very kind of close combat martial arts, and I really loved it. I love the concept of Wing Chun too. Obviously Bruce Lee made it very famous, but
that's the only reason I know it is.
yeah. But Wing Chun is fascinating, by the way. Apparently, it was developed by a woman. A lady monk in China, and it's the reason for why it was incredibly close, and you don't actually sort of extend your arm.
Bent
it's very, very close and fast. And you
Big Dog has taken a lot of martial arts. That's why he knows more about this than I do.
Oh, really? Yeah. It's a fascinating, and you start off training very, very slowly. It's very precise, and it's pretty much in one stance. And it's really kind of a very casual stance. You stand there, you turn your toes in a little bit. But this was very similar. The sort of style that I did was very similar. It's very, very close in combat, and I really love the kind of philosophy behind it too, of how it worked and why being close works. And so when I came to Power Rangers, I told Koichi about that, and he said, "Yeah, you've obviously trained before. You've done something," which is kind of a disadvantage sometimes with stunt work, because in stunt work you train to not hit people, and in martial arts you train to hit people.
Yep.
So it's there I was going to do it, and the stunt guys are going, "Yeah, he really hits." I'm so sorry. No, I have to miss, and I have to show and kind of telegraph the punch or the kick. So instead of doing really short, sharp punches, which Bruce Lee would do, you would do these roundhouse, big things that you would telegraph to the other actor, and then so they can duck, and you do all these things that were more inefficient, but that looked good on camera, right?
Right.
And so I had to unlearn a lot of things, and it was awkward sometimes. I go, "No, I would totally not do that." Like, you step in, turn, and then punch them this way, right? Or you step in and block and punch at the same time. No, Koichi, no. You're going to just duck and turn around this way. Then you're going to just do one big roundhouse punch. And then you're going to do this one block. And I was like, oh, but I could have just punched them. No, then it'd be over and it wouldn't look any good. So yeah, I done some, but I don't know if it was a huge advantage to me. The stunt guys, some of them had done some martial arts, but they also said the same thing. They said, yeah, it wasn't an advantage. We had to unlearn all of that, and we had to learn stunt martial arts. You know, that looks great on camera, and
that's why they call it choreography, because it's more like dancing.
It's a dance, and that's tough too, because martial arts, you sort of learn to just respond. You're reacting very quickly.
Reflexive, yes.
You're reflexive, and you're reflexive to attack or defend, right? Mm-hmm. But in the dance, you got to remember the dance. And that's a whole different thing, right? And Koichi would do these huge pieces of choreography, stunt choreography, and we get about 5 minutes. We just see it. He'd just come in and, Jason, you're going to come in here, you're going to turn here, and then you're going to do a kick out here, and then these two people are going to come in, you'll do 2 punches there, then you'll do a roundhouse punch over here, and then you'll turn again, and you'll kick him in the stomach over here. I was like, wait, Koichi, how long do I have to practice this? I got to learn this now? And he's like, yeah, let's do it. And yeah, I was nervous. Like stunt action sequences, I was always just a little nervous that I would just react, rather than do the dance. And you had to learn the dance, and pretty precisely. I remember one battle I had with Motor Drone in the museum. There were a whole bunch of shells that we had to work with, and he said to me, the stunt actor, Jason, I cannot see a thing in this costume. So when you duck, make sure you duck at this point. Because he had to do a spinning kick in between 2 shelves. I had to duck, and he had to swipe a shelf full of pottery. And I just went, I was a little bit off that day, a little bit virally, like with a cold. And I just couldn't remember the choreography, and went bang, 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 and I just forgot to duck, because in my martial arts, you never duck. you never duck. We had this interesting philosophy of you just always attack. You keep attacking, because
your attack is your defense.
You block and you attack. Yeah, it's very quite cool, because people don't expect it. People expect you to go back and do a block or something. No, they kick you, you attack at the same time as they kick. And so that's always my instinct, to keep up. I wasn't used to this kind of ducking. And so you'll see it. I go to duck, of course, in the final take. I got it, but in the first take, man, I forgot to duck. I just froze. And he spun around with the weight of the costume, did a spinning kick, and whack right across my jaw. And I thought I'd broken my jaw, because I couldn't speak. I couldn't, like, it was locked. Mm-hmm. So I said, Are you okay, Jason? Yeah, fine. Totally fine. No, it's fine. And, they really took care of us, the stunt team. They ran up to us, you okay? Yeah, I'm so sorry. I said, no, it's my fault. I didn't duck. Like, I didn't duck where I was supposed to. But I couldn't talk for about 40 minutes. Couldn't open my mouth. I could still do
for an actor, from what I understand.
Yeah, it's important. I thought I was in deep, up the creek, because, you have scenes to do. I thought I have to be taken to the hospital and refix my jaw, but I went through and did the scene again, this time ducking. He smashed all the pottery and everything. We kept doing the stunts, thank goodness. But if you see the scene, you'll know that I couldn't open my jaw through it until later that day.
Jeez.
Lucky. Anyway.
So that's one of those things. Yeah, they ran up and they're like, "Oh, please don't be hurt," because then this whole schedule. Now. They're like, "We want you to be okay, but also we have a lot of stuff to
do." Yeah.
Oh man. Well, I'm sorry you got hurt, but that actually answered like 3 questions that were in chat already. So I was like, "Oh, good, you're answering a lot of questions that did you get injured, things like that." So there you go. That he did.
Yeah, there are a lot of injuries. I think one of our lead stunt double for Sally, Matoko, she broke her leg, I think, on one of the stunts. There are a lot of injuries. Like, those guys were crazy. Koichi's team were amazing. And I remember, I'm sorry, do I have time? I'll just tell you.
We're on your time. I mean,
yeah. Oh, I'm okay. So we turned up for the first time to stunt training. We just all arrived in New Zealand, and we were going to go through 2 weeks of kind of like boot camp stunt training. And that was really painful. Like, by the second day, I couldn't walk. Wow. 3 of us, I think, could barely walk because they were just putting us through everything. And the way they stretched, was kind of like, I think Koichi had sort of trained with Jackie Chan's team before, and they would just grab us with our legs straight, put them on our shoulders, and just push into the wall like that to get us to do the splits. And it was just crazy. They, oh, okay, now we're going to do the splits. So just open up your legs, and they'd come behind you and just lean on you until you were in massive pain. And yeah, by the second day, quite a few of us were barely walking. It was severe. But the interesting thing was we met with this New Zealand stunt team, right? Local stunt team, who were meeting the Japanese stunt team for the first time. And, the Japanese stunt team were kind of pretty slight and tiny and very, very polite and saying hi to everyone. And, and the New Zealand team were all pretty buff, like rugged people, right? And they came in going, what's this about? They're going to teach us how to do stunts? Yeah, right. So you could clearly see that kind of that energy in the room that was just one side against the other. But the New Zealand, the Japanese team they were so kind of humble and so nice. And, yeah, hi Jason. Oh, I will be your stunt double, and we're so happy to meet you. And they were so cool. And then New Zealand team were kind of a bit standoffish at first, and just kind of checking each other out, and really buffed up. Then Japanese team started going through their drills, and they said, "So this is what we're going to do." They get up on kind of literally 2 meters above the ground, and they said, "We're going to do a flip, turn in the air, and land on our neck." Bang! They do it first with a little padding on the ground, and then they said, "Okay, now we're going to show you how to do it without the padding." They took it away, did it, flip, and they do this often through the show, right? Jumping off trees, flipping off trees, and landing kind of on the back there. Yeah. And, well, I will show you how to do it on the back of your neck. Like, oh my God! And then you could start to see the New Zealand team just kind of softening up and smiling and going, "Hi, everyone. My name is so-and-so.
The equalizer,
yes, I'm kind of a newbie. I don't know." It was what they were able to do that our stunt team it was just crazy. We saw them jump off trucks doing that. And then they, with a pad, and then they take away the pad and said, "Okay, we're just now going to do this in a wide. There's no cut to a landing. We'll just do that on a wide, and you'll just jump up there. Kelzak, you're going to do that." They were just incredible. So of course there were some injuries from time to time, but nothing major. And they just blew us away. But you suddenly got a very different feel to to the entire stunt team as a whole. Massive respect after that, and then the energy became very much about let's take care of each other, and let's forget about this macho one-upmanship. It's done. We know who's king here.
That's why they're so humble. Their actions speak for themselves. They're like, here's how we do it.
Yeah, it was crazy. They were just so good. Yeah.
I've heard similar stories from other seasons about the Japanese stunt teams just being insanely good and humble too. Like, yeah. Well, that was awesome. I love that you're like, "Do you have time for another story?" Yes, we have time for another story.
Yeah. I'll say a big shout out to Shayla, who just you put up a message there. So she's Shayla Smith Garcia. She's helping to organize this Power Morphicon convention appearance for us. So big thanks to you, Shayla. We've been messaging back and forth, and she's managed to help us get everyone together for the first time. So we're very excited about that.
Then the whole fandom thanks you, Shayla.
Yes, thank you very much.
That's fantastic. I'm going to end. Okay, I get my final question, and then we'll do a little wrap up and whatever. But just to end the whole thing, it's a question I always ask all of our guests. It's a Power Rangers question. Other than your season, because everybody would choose the Ranger from their season, who do you think was the best Red Ranger? Now, you could say that, you know, they had the coolest suit. They were your favorite actor. You met him once. You thought they were nice. Any reason is fine, but you can't pick your own season because that again. So who was the best Red Ranger in your opinion?
Simple. Jason David Frank.
Jason David Frank. Okay.
Yep.
He was two Red
I
Rangers.
met him once. He was really, really nice guy. Well, I met him in the Dino Thunder team.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah.
Really, really nice guy. Really humble. A lot of respect for him. And of course, you know, he was in the first season. Like,
true.
Come on.
True. Yeah. I mean, he's arguably the most popular Ranger of all time. He's certainly the most famous and prolific. I've met him a few times. I worked at one of his shows, so he's a very, very nice guy. I have a couple Green Ranger and Red Ranger figures of his in my house. So very, very good choice. Unfortunately, that is wrong. He was not the best Red Ranger. As everyone knows, the best Red Ranger was Casey from Jungle Fury. People make this mistake all the time. I understand it's not your fault that you have the wrong opinion. It is Casey from Jungle Fury.
I've never been wrong in my opinion before, but
no, I know it's hard. It's hard finding out that your opinions are wrong. It usually doesn't happen. This is one of those rare instances where one can be wrong in their opinion.
No, I'm humbled. I'm humbled.
All right. Well, that being said, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Jason.
Is there anything, I mean, you've kind of talked about a few things, but is there any last sort of, for lack of a term, plugs you want to give? I mean, you talked about your appearance at Morphicon. Anything else you want to promote or discuss?
No. I just love for everyone to join us at Power Morphicon because it's my first one. It's the first one that all of us are coming together. And I think it means a lot to us. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun and heartwarming. And the energy's been really great. Like I said, we've just been messaging each other on chat, and we're all very, very excited about that. So please do join us for that. Let's make it a big one, despite the pandemic, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
All right, Big Dog, anything you want to throw out there before we finish up?
We look forward to seeing you guys all get together for Power Morphicon and commenting on there. But thank you again for joining us here. Morphed Network.
Thank you to the Morphed Network for helping set this up, by the way. We forgot to mention that earlier, so thank you for jumping in and reminding us.
Yes, and also Morphed Network. Sorry, I haven't posted your video yet. This just all came very quickly, and I had time to post and shout out about this one, but I will. I've done some interviews with them, and they're great.
Yeah, they're great. They're great people. They've helped us out quite a bit, and they've been around for a while. I have one favor to ask you, Jason, before we go. And feel free to say no, but we like to get actors and people involved in the show to do little shout outs that we could put at the beginning of other videos. Would you be open to doing something like that? Okay. Well, then all I would need from you is you could do it as Jason. You could do it as Cam. You could do it funny. You could do it serious, however you want. But just the name of the show is Action Activate. And that's kind of like, it's morphin' time. So any way you want to say the words Action Activate is correct. And just whenever you're ready, do it.
And what else do you want me to?
You could say as much or as little. You could say, "Hey, I'm Jason Chan." Blah 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 blah. You could say, "Hey, this is Cam." You could say literally nothing but the words "Action Activate." There's no wrong way to do it.
Well, you've just told me before that there is a wrong way.
No, there's a wrong opinion about who the.
It's your wrong way.
Okay, you got me, Jason.
How about I morph and do it?
That would be amazing.
Action Activate.
That's fantastic.
Thank you so much. That was awesome.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. All right. I think we should stop because we're only going to make it worse. This has gone so well. It can only go downhill. So thank you to everyone who watched live. Thank you to everyone watching in the replay. Thank you for Ryan from the Morphed Network to help set it up. Thank you to Jason. Thank you to Big Dog. Thank you to Saban for bringing Power Rangers over. Thank you to Disney for making your season. And I think that's it. Until next time, I've been Gazbot.
I am the Big Dog.
And
I'm Jason.
I'm Jason. And to the power. And I'm ending the broadcast.